Greetings, everyone. I've just been reading online newspapers and the decision that one comes to, or what one then gets to understand, according to journalists, is that the South African cabinet has withdrawn its decision, which I've been going through social media platforms, and I'm finding that people are celebrating that the decision by the South African cabinet not to renew permits has been reversed, which is not true. Let's get to understand this, so that we do not mislead holders of the Zimbabwe exemption permit. And also, the problem is that in the world of social media, one of the challenges is that we rush to make announcements, or we rush to write without verification, without understanding the directive or what is posted, its meaning, and then we mislead the public. So this channel, the Comrade Ngabuto Nicholas Mabena channel, is trying its level best to be credible, to inform accurately, because as communists, we must at all material times give to the working class and the peasants correct information, whether we like the information, whether we do not agree with the information. But it is imperative that as communists, we communicate correct information. We should not be driven by what a journalist will say it's a scoop, to say I was the first to announce, because we know that in the mainstream media, it seeks to make profit. This is why the mainstream media, which is now online, will rush, misinform, and then correct later, but they will have made their money because they are in the business. The business of the media is to make money. But the unfortunate thing is that in the process of making their profits, which they are established to do as the media, in the process, they then misinform the public, in this case, the working class. So if desperate holders of the Zimbabwe exemption permits were 178,000, who are desperate to know what is happening. So yesterday afternoon, at about shortly after 2 p.m., I received through an email a directive, which was said to be coming from Department of Home Affairs, from the Immigration Department. We did not make any comments because we were not very sure whether that directive was authentic, firstly. Secondly, we did not understand its meaning at the time. So we thought it was not proper for us to rush and report to you to say, hey, there's this directive, because our responsibility as communists is that we must first and foremost investigate, we must consult, we must seek advice. Once we have consulted widely and it is clear to all of us, we then advise you through this channel, because this channel must remain credible. It should not be a channel that is used to announce what one will call a fake news, or improper, or inaccurate information. We must at all material times give accurate information. Let's get to the crux of this matter. We all know that on the 25th of November, 2021, the South African cabinet, through the minister in the presidency, announced that it will not continue renewing the Zimbabwe exemption permits, which are generally referred to as special permits. And the cabinet then extended a 12-month grace period to the holders of Zimbabwe exemption permits, ZEP, to move to other visas, or first deportation, or leave the country after the 12 months expiry period, which is the grace period. Now, that decision was made on the 24th of November. Then on the 29th of November, there was a immigration directive number 10 of 2021. A directive, as we understand, it becomes an internal communication process to stakeholders. The directive of the 29th of November was simply explaining the decision of the South African cabinet as taken on the 24th of November. So there were about 5 days in between after cabinet has made this decision, after the minister in the presidency had announced. Then there was a directive on the 29th. But that directive was problematic, which was issued on the 29th of November 2021. And they were complaining about that directive because the interpretation of that directive was that one, holders of ZEP should, by the 31st of December 2021, submit proof of application to their banks in the form of a VFS receipt. Banks have been sending messages to their clients to say your permit expires on the 31st of December 2021. Please provide proof that you have applied so that you keep your permit active. Secondly, employers have been writing to their employees saying, your permit expires on the 31st of December 2021. Therefore, provide the proof that you are renewing or you are moving to other permits or visas in line with the cabinet decision for the employer to renew the contract. So we are sitting, and thirdly, South African Council of Educators, SASA, is not renewing SASA to educators on the basis, again, that the ZEP expires on the 31st of December 2021. And educators are now basically in limbo. So the directive, the immigration directive, as issued on the 29th of November 2021, was problematic in that it did not clarify correctly the cabinet decision. And it created this problem or this challenge within the banking sector, within employers. Now, the latest directive, and I was listening to the Minister of Home Affairs, Aaron Motsoaledi, speaking, is that the 12-month period is from the 1st of November. It's from the 1st of January 2022 to the 31st of December 2022. So it means, therefore, there is no reason at all for any bank to seek to close down the accounts of its clients who are holders of ZEP on or before the 31st of December 2021. Accounts can only be closed on or before 31st December 2022 after the expiry of the 12-month period. Secondly, employers cannot force their employees to produce proof that they've submitted their applications before the 31st of December 2021 because their employers have been given a grace period for 12 months to gather their necessary documents that are needed in terms of the requirements of the visas that they want to apply for. For instance, let's get this to understand it correctly. For instance, one of the requirements for a ZEP applicant who wants to move to other visas is that they must produce a Zimbabwe police clearance. And we know that the person will either have to physically travel to Zimbabwe to obtain the Zimbabwe police clearance, or send that application either through a relative for that application to be processed. And we know that it is a festive season now. And we know that the Zimbabwean authorities will not deal with this before January 2022. So when you are therefore as an employer saying your employee must submit proof of application when they have not gathered all the necessary documents, it is incorrect. So the directive of the 29th of November was problematic. So the directive that was issued yesterday seeks to correct, which was issued on the 13th of December 2021, seeks to correct the initial directive, which was misunderstood. So the immigration directive, whether it's immigration directive 10, whether it's immigration directive 11, whether it's immigration directive 12, it cannot change an executive decision, because the decision not to extend or not to renew the Zimbabwe exemption permit was a cabinet decision or an executive decision. This is why when an executive decision was taken on the 24th of November 2021, the immigration directive was then issued on the 29th to their officials in the head office, to VFS, because it is the Home Affairs officials at head office and the VFS who have a responsibility of implementing the cabinet decision in terms of which cabinet pronounced itself on, that a ZEP holder must be allowed to submit their application in South Africa. You will know that since 2014, when those that were qualified to move to other visas had to travel Zimbabwe, because the Immigration Act says you cannot change the condition of a visa or of a permit in South Africa. So if you have been a holder of a special permit and in the process you then got married, you wanted to move to a sponsoral visa or permit or a critical skills visa, you could not change the condition in South Africa. You had to travel to Zimbabwe. But the cabinet then on the 24th of November 2021, cabinet said a ZEP holder is now allowed to change condition in South Africa. And it was necessary, therefore, to have a directive that will speak to officials of the Department of Home Affairs, VFS officials, to say, accept an application from a ZEP holder in South Africa. Just overlook or disregard that they cannot change their condition in South Africa. The cabinet has pronounced itself that they have a right to change their condition in South Africa. As I was explaining, but the wording of the directive, particularly on the issue of receipts, it has caused so much pain and confusion within the holders of ZEP, who are now worried that their banks are going to be closed, who are now worried that they will not renew their contracts, who are now worried that they will not renew their SARS. So the permits are active up to the 31st of December 2022, because the permits are issued by the Department of Home Affairs. And the minister says any bank or any person who has a problem with that should contact them. So the decision not to renew permits still stands. But as we get to the festive season, or we're already in the middle of the festive season, a holder of Zimbabwe exemption permit has a right to travel and come back. So it's not like when you come back, say on the 10th of January 2022, you'll be told at the port of entry that you cannot come back. You have actually what others are saying, we have given up your privilege. It is not so, because you have a 12-month grace period. Some documents, like the police clearance in Zimbabwe or the Zimbabwe police clearance, must be collected in Zimbabwe. So it will require that the holder of ZEP must travel. For instance, if in this process you are getting married, we will deal at the next video sometime later on how to apply for sponsored permit. But just to indicate, if you want to get married in South Africa, if you're a migrant, you want to get married in South Africa, particularly to a South African, you must obtain what in Zimbabwe or in your country of origin, what is called a non-marriage certificate. So if a ZEP holder then decides to marry a South African or a holder of a PR, this ZEP holder will be required to travel to Zimbabwe to obtain the necessary document, which is the non-marriage certificate, for them to come and submit their application. So how do then applicants submit their applications if by 2022 they cannot travel outside the borders? So there was that a misunderstanding in terms of the initial directive which was issued. So the minister has explained through which was explaining the immigration directive, that holders of ZEP still enjoy or will still enjoy the privileges that they enjoyed in 2022. But what is important, which is a cabinet decision, is that one, the decision not to renew stands. Two, the decision of a grace period enables the holder of a Zimbabwe exemption permit to be able to move to other visas, to cross the border, come back, collect all the necessary documents without their banks being frozen or bank accounts being frozen, without their work contracts being cancelled, and process their applications. It is at that time when the Home Affairs Department makes a decision on an individual applicant to say, we have received your application, we think you do qualify, they grant you a visa which you have applied for, or we think you do not qualify. Then obviously there must be a period to appeal. You then appeal within these 12 months to say the decision, maybe you had missed to submit a particular document. So please, this channel, the Ngabuto Mabena channel, must remain credible. We know that thousands of people follow this channel, and there's some they would want us to make pronouncement immediately, or to immediately announce when we see something on the internet. We cannot do so because we have a credibility to protect. We are communists, by the way. So we must be at all material times communicate correct decisions to the working class out there. So we understand we delayed, but it was necessary for us to get the correct information. We don't have to rush to come to you, because when we rush and we seem to be competing with anyone, with the journalists and so forth, we will fall into the trap of the main journalists in the main, who are driven by profits, because to them it is a scoop, but to us it is a responsibility to ensure that the working class get correct information. Otherwise, subscribe to this channel to always get credible information, like the video, and circulate to other workers. Thank you so much. Good night.